and hold a meeting which has brought all of you here. If I have any issue to raise, it is that we refer to this as a creeping infringement. I think the time of creeping infringements has long passed. We are today in the midst of a full-blown attack on media freedom, and I'm using these words with a great sense of responsibility. And we are, I regret to say, still some distance away from the peak or the high water mark of this offensive. So there will be more, not just attacks on individual journalists and media platforms, but there will be attempts to create new laws, new rules, and the resort to gross violations of legal procedure will only escalate. And we've seen all of these in the most recent case of what I believe is the illegal arrest and harassment of our colleague Mohammed Zubair of Alt News. The case against Zubair in many ways captures the essence of all that is wrong with this government's approach to media. Zubair is part of Alt News, a founding editor or a founder, and Alt News performs one of the most vital and crucial tasks of journalism today, which is that of fact-checking. Fact-checking is an integral part of responsible journalism, and it's precisely because large sections of the media have abdicated that responsibility and allowed the free flow of misinformation and false news that Prateek Sinha and Mohammed Zubair and their wonderful media platform came into existence. So you had, in the run-up to the 2014 election, the manufacturing of fake news on a larger and larger scale, gradually escalating to industrial scale, coupled with the full-fledged weaponization of social media as a transmission belt for the production of this fake news, and this needed to be countered in real time quickly. And it is precisely that task that Alt News and others, Boom Live, perform. And I don't think I'll be exaggerating if I say that those of us who work for different news platforms, or those of us who are freelance, or those of us who are editors, it's a daily habit to check what Alt News has put out. Whenever I receive anything slightly alarming or dodgy on WhatsApp, I instantly forward it to Prateek and say, you may want to look at this, because I know that they have a team that will responsibly and in an efficient manner be able to shed some light. So fact checkers are an integral part of journalism, and the reason why fact checking is a vulnerable profession in India, and the reason why Mohammed Zubair and Alt News and Prateek, by the way, Prateek also is very much in the crosshairs of this entire campaign against Zubair. The reason they have been targeted is because Alt News's consistent debunking of false lies and malicious propaganda has become a major roadblock in the government's attempts, and I'm not mincing any words here. We are talking about the government. We're talking about the ruling party. Alt News has become an obstacle in their attempts to manipulate public opinion. And the road to power and the road to staying in power and the road to perpetuating yourself in power, Mr. Amit Shah now talks of BJP being here for 40 or 50 years. The road to that lies in confounding and misleading and misguiding people with fake and false news and information. And of course, as a corollary, first undermining through slander, defamation, trolling, targeting, and then attempting to shut up forcibly those who will oppose you in your spreading of disinformation. So there is a reason why Zubair has been picked, and another reason which I think we should squarely face up to is the fact that he's Muslim. There is a pattern in this government's targeting of journalists who happen to be Muslim. It was not happenstance that of all the people who tweeted about that incident of the elderly gentleman whose beard was pulled last year, thousands of people, maybe many in this room tweeted, but all the people who got implicated or who were named in that FIR were Muslim, including our colleague Sabah Naqvi. So there is a method in this madness. Journalists are under attack. Muslims are especially under attack. And if you're a Muslim journalist, if you're a Muslim woman journalist, God help you. These are the ugly realities of the life that we are leading right now and where this country is heading. I want to say that the manner in which the particular charges against Mohammed Zubair, and I want to just spend 2 minutes on this. I know that what Mr. Nayan said is the primary takeaway that we have to leave this meeting with, which is that we have to face up to these attacks in a united fashion. We have to be smart, we have to plan, and I think having a legal fund, having a team of lawyers that we can turn to, and maybe debating and deliberating other ways of being proactive in this fight. These are all things that we will leave this meeting with. But I think I want to underline the complete illegality in the case against Mohammed Zubair, because under the CRPC, a 3-year-old so-called crime, which carries a sentence of 3 years or less, is barred by the statute of limitations from being, you cannot be proceeded against. So the very charge that was filed pertaining to a 2018 tweet should never have been entertained by the duty magistrate or the learned Chief Metropolitan Magistrate, Ms. Savaria, when it came up 5 days ago. And it's really because the police and the government realized that 153A and 295A are not going to take you very far. As it is, the tweet clearly suggests that those charges are not made out, without even going into how old these charges are. And that's precisely why this entire nonsense of an FCRA case has been fabricated out of thin air. And what is truly shocking is the manner in which the police officer who heads the department investigating Mohammed Zubair pronounced the verdict on Zubair's bail application to the media, and it was transmitted for a couple of hours until somebody pointed out that maybe you shouldn't have said that. And then he came up with this ridiculous explanation that I was talking to the IO and misheard what he said. I want to know what combination of words was used by either the DCP and his IO or his IO to produce the kind of statement that the DCP subsequently gave to the media, that not only is bail denied, but 14 days judicial custody granted. And why is this not a bigger issue in the media? Why is this not a bigger issue in the higher judiciary? Here you have an open attempt to subvert, suborn the process of justice delivery. Somebody in a position of authority, and certainly the media, of course, needs to ask Delhi police, did you have any contact with the judge? Who told you about this? Are you willing, just like they want Zubair's phone, is the DCP willing to have his phone examined to see what time and who called him around the time that he made this statement? Maybe a lot would emerge out of this kind of an investigation. So we are dealing with a situation where the recklessness and brazenness of those in authority has reached new levels. And as I said, this is going to escalate. We found in our investigation into the network that the complaint against Zubair originates from an activist of the Bharatiya Janata Yuva Morcha and the whole network that they run through TechFog. And we wrote earlier about how TechFog is used to harass and target other journalists and critics of the government. So we're dealing with an entire ecosystem of gherawing, targeting, and silencing the media that is at work here. And Mohammed Zubair is the most egregious and of course latest example of this, but there have been others before. FIRs have been filed during COVID against freelance reporters are especially vulnerable. But all kinds of cases have been filed in different states against reporters, and more will be. So I think that it is really, really crucial and essential that journalists remain united, and as Mr. Nayan said, we not allow whatever differences of opinion we may have, whatever commercial rivalries there may be, to stand in the way of an attack of this kind, because this attack, if it is allowed to stand, will tomorrow be replicated against any journalist, anywhere, any editor, any media platform, where false charges are conjured out of thin air when the charges that they initially leveled don't stick, and the judiciary appears to be happy to go along with this. So we need to speak loudly and clearly that we will not, sit by and allow this to happen. So being united and being proactive are absolutely essential, because that's the only way that we can fight this offensive. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Rajan, for raising very vital point. And